Hello, everyone. It's Dr. James Marcum with another biblical prescription for life. Today, I would like to give you, or leave with you, or share with you a 1-minute anxiety buster that you can do anywhere to help you deal with anxiety. But before we do that, I want to share a biblical prescription. That's from Philippians 4, verse 6. It says, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God." Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about anxiety today because lots of people have it. It's been estimated that 1 in 3 in a lifetime will have at least one episode of anxiety. 17% will have an anxiety at some point. Another statistic, in the next 12 months, there's a 12.1% chance that you will have anxiety. So I think it's something that we should talk about. Anxiety is a stress response. What happens is your body makes a lot of the stress chemistry, norepinephrine, the serotonin, dopamine, GABA, all of this changes. The part of the brain that does this is called the amygdala. If it's in response to an emergency, it's great. But if it's not an emergency and you're having it a lot, it's not so great. Symptoms of anxiety will be increased heart rate. You might breathe fast. The muscles get all tense. But I think the worst thing is your brain just goes haywire. It doesn't think good. You have jittery thoughts. It just feels terrible. Some people have had so much anxiety that they make inflammatory cytokines, and they also get tightness in their chest, and it actually, in some people, can mimic a heart attack. So anxiety is a very scary situation to have. So that's why, as we work down it, I'm going to give you a 1-minute anxiety buster that you can do anywhere. So a lot of people have anxiety. Another type of anxiety, they call it, is phobia, being scared of something. There's different types of phobias, and I hope you don't have one of these, but if you're afraid of crowds, it's called adonophobia. If you're afraid of light, it's called a photophobia. If you're afraid of people, you have an anthophobia. I hope you're not afraid of God, but if you did, you would have a theophobia. If you're afraid of dirt, you're a misophobic. If you're afraid of the sun, you're a heliophobic. If you're afraid of snow, you're cyanophobic. And you can even be afraid of beers, and then you're called a pogonophobic. So they've classified phobia, anxiety, many different ways, but it's sort of on a scale of a little bit to a lot. If you have a lot, it is called paranoid. That's ramped up anxiety. Now, it's pretty common to have social phobias, social anxiety, but if you have more than normal, it's called paranoia. If it's even ramped up beyond that, they can call it obsessive compulsive disorder. That's a form of anxiety. Panic disorders are forms of anxiety. And the worst that I see in my medical practice is post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's a form of anxiety. The brain gets ramped up. It's usually because of situations that's happened in the past. So when we talk about anxiety, I think there's 3 important points before I get to the 1-minute buster here today. Number 1, people with anxiety tend to overreact, they take things personally, or they jump to conclusions. So if you're having anxiety, those are three things to ask yourself. Are you overreacting to a situation? Are you taking things personally? Are you jumping to conclusion? So if you're doing these things, there's lots of treatment, but I'm going to give you a 1-minute way to help you with your anxiety, a strategy that you can use, that you can plug into your brain, that you can download when you think you're having one of these anxiety episodes. Okay, here's the 1-minute treatment. You ready? Okay. The first thing I would do is 3 claps. That will get everyone's attention. The next thing is 3 deep breaths in and out 3 times. Then the next thing is ask yourself those questions. Am I overreacting? Am I taking things personally? Am I jumping to conclusions? And if you are, try to push that out of your brain. The next thing is find 3 things to be thankful for. 3 things to be thankful for. The next thing after that is 3 laughs out loud, ha ha ha, or tell yourself a joke. And lastly, go back to this text that we used today. Be anxious for nothing. Claim this text. But in everything, when you are anxious, claim this promise: prayer, supplication, thanksgiving, and talk to God. Let your requests be known. Talk to Him about this problem that you're having. Turn it over to Him and let Him direct this situation you're having. So let's try that in real time and see if we can do it in less than a minute. Now, I hope that just talking about this has not made you anxious. And I even dressed up a little bit more to help relax the situation. So let's try this. Okay, this is a pretend situation. Let's say all of a sudden you're faced with anxiety. You don't know what to do. Here we go. Am I overreacting? No. Am I taking things personally? No. Am I jumping to conclusions? Well, maybe. I'm going to deal with that. Well, I'm thankful that I have time that God's given me. I'm thankful that I have family and friends like you. And I'm thankful that God provided food for me today. Ha, ha, ha. Be anxious for nothing, God. In everything, I want to pray and turn to you, thank you, and ask you to help me with this anxiety episode. So it doesn't have to be exactly like that, but if you have something plugged into your brain that you can do to help you to break that spell, and more importantly, give it to God, because He's interested in every aspect of your life. And He's told us He did not create a spirit of fear and a spirit of anxiety. This is something our bodies don't like, especially long term. So here is a 1-minute strategy today that you can turn off that to some degree. So I hope that this helps. You can certainly modify this to your life. This is what I try to do. It tends to work. It does some common sense things. It's not a medicine. Doesn't have a lot of side effects. You can do it in a minute. So share this with your friends and neighbors. Give it a thumbs up. Comment on strategies you might use so you can help other people that might be experiencing this. And I hope to see you soon with yet another biblical prescription for life.